doing your job? Are you doing everything from home?
Doing everything from home.
So are you running the Veterans Resource Center there? Are you doing that with a combination of blast emails and virtual, maybe Zoom conference interviews where you talk to people? That's how you're kind of doing your job?
Yes. Yeah. And we do like small events that are engaging just to get folks involved while they're not able to visit.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And exactly what do you mean by engaging? Are you having like a virtual, obviously it's a virtual meetup, but a virtual event? And what is it that you're doing? Do you have a small group of veterans on campus that you're aligned with and they're helping you meet your goals?
Well, we do a variety of things, or at least we've been doing a variety of things. So we initially started it out where we just had an open Zoom hour for people that would normally come to the Veterans Resource Center to pop in. And that was working just fine for a while. And then now what we're doing is more focused things because we realize people don't have a lot of time right now to just pop in. So we do our standard SVO meetings once a week for an hour. So the Student Veterans Organization meets for once an hour via Zoom. And that's where they get to talk about their student issues. So then I will meet with the officers once a week. And then I also meet with students who need things individually. But together we do a movie night on Friday nights where we all meet up and we text and have conversation about the movie. And then we're doing things like scavenger hunts and games, Pictionary online, trying different things. As you can imagine, it's hard to get things to work from this platform, I guess, as far as like having group games.
Tammy, I will just say, can you tell us about your military background and what you did in the military and which branch you served and how long you were in?
I served in the United States Navy from 99 to 11. It was a different time when I went in. Things were a little different than they are now, especially in the world. We had some significant events while I was in that made things a little different in the world. I was a hospital corpsman, and I first was stationed at Fleet Hospital, Camp Pendleton, and moved to Naval Hospital Lemoore at Naval Air Station Lemoore. That's in Central California. From there, I went on to the USS Frank Cable for 3 years, and that was out of Guam. So I got to live on the island of Guam for 3 years. That was pretty fantastic. Following that, I moved back to the States to San Diego to work with the Basic Reconnaissance Course. So I worked with the United States Marines at a Navy command called EWTG PAC, which was Expeditionary Warfare Training Group Pacific. So what we did there is we trained the Marines for reconnaissance training. Those 5 years were the time of my life. The most challenging, the most fun, the most unpredictable. And it was, in the end, a dream come true. I got to do a lot of things that females in the military do not get to do: jump out of helicopters, go in the field with about 100 people that I'm the only girl, you know, and yeah.
So did you learn to jump out of helicopters in the Navy? Did you go to like jump school or what? I'm not sure what they call it in the Navy. So that's great because that takes guts. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that. That's just me.
So a little background is I was a surface warfare corpsman. So I was a ship corpsman. Under no circumstances was I trained to go with the Marine Corps. I went to Fleet Hospital training, which was a lot of physical activity, setting hospitals up and tearing them down. But I wasn't really part of the Marine Corps. I did have live skills labs where, you know, it was live medical training and pretty intense. I felt very confident in my ability when I got that billet. Showed up the day of in my dress whites, skirt and pumps, and my hair back in a tight bun, thinking that I was going to be the best me I could possibly be when I got there. And when I walked in, the first thing they said to me was, "You're a girl." And I was kind of taken back. I said, "Well, I'm fully aware," you know, and I didn't understand the holdup. And so they left me at the door and they said, you got to wait right here. And they went and they got, who was my master sergeant at the time. And they said, this is going to be a problem. You need to come with me. They created an emergency meeting because, you know, one female thrown into the mix was apparently going to ruin the entire command. So I had a meeting with the guys and the colonel, and they were scrambling to figure out what to do. That meeting was about 5 hours, took up most of my day. They made plenty of phone calls. They did a lot of things. Pretty much they told me at the end of the meeting, after waiting around, don't unpack your bags. You're going to be out of here in 3 months. Don't show your ass while you're here. And that was my instruction. I got to go downstairs. I got to meet my chief and finally get acclimated to like my corpsman group, which what ended up being 2 guys and me. And needless to say, 2 years later, they hired me on as an instructor. They sent me to the Naval Instructor School. I was the first female faculty member of the United States Marine Corps Basic Reconnaissance Course. They taught me how to do everything that they did because they said, whatever the guys do, you have to have understanding of what they're going to do. So not in consecutive order, but in phases. They put me through each aspect of the training so that I had firsthand understanding of what they were going through. There was many things I absolutely could not do because I was under no strain to do these physical kind of things in the Navy. So they trained me, they ran me, they taught me, and I became a force. And then after that, you know, I had to leave. My 5 years were up, and I made the best friends that I had made in my lifetime, and skills that can never be replaced. And went on to independent duty corpsman school, and you know, eventually got out of the Navy and went on to community college, and that's where this life started.
I just want to tell you my backstory. This is an aside.
Okay.
I was born at Camp Pendleton. I weighed 1.5 pounds when I was born.
Whoa.
Navy corpsman and the Navy doctors saved me. That is why, part of why I do what I do, because I was a blue baby. My mother and I had to have blood transfusions. So they put a call out on Camp Pendleton through their PA system. And all these World War II veterans, because I was born in 1948, all these World War II veterans came and they donated blood for my mother and me to live. And that is really one of the reasons I do BHV TV, because it's my gift back to the veterans, because I would not be alive. So thank you. I love the corpsmen. You saved me. You saved my mama. You saved her family.
Awesome.
So I am forever grateful. So that's just an aside. You don't have to show it or anything. I just wanted to let you know that backstory. I was born and raised in the Marine Corps. So I know
That
what
is
it is
awesome. Yeah.
about the Marines. And my parents, all 3 of them, my mother, my father, my stepfather, were all World War II veterans. You know what's going on at campus and what's not going on and what the future is. And since we're filming this on July 15th, the governor just closed the state down pretty much within the last couple of days. So there is no access to, except for essentials, grocery stores and medical offices. We're pretty much banned from going to public places. So how is that impacting the campus, the VRC?
So the Veterans Resource Center at UCR is something fairly new to campus. So campus, if you don't know, campus was built in 1954. Well, our resource center was built or opened in 2017. So through the time between 1954 and 2017, there was a variety of different things military related going on campus. For instance, our very first student in 1954 was a Navy sailor. He had just gotten off active duty the day before and started school. Through those years, our military housing was actually officer housing for the March Air Force Base. We've had some certain people and things happen on campus through the years. Roll forward so that we don't go too deep into it. maybe around, I would say 2010, the campus decided that military students need to be reached out to. This is a thing. You know, they're going to school, they're getting out of service, and this is happening, and this is happening right now. So they opened up this little nook on campus, maybe 7 feet by 8 feet the room was. And that was the Veterans Resource Center for many years, just this little closet. And, you know, at the time they had around 50 to 75 throughout the years vets on campus. So that, you know, 50 to 75 vets on campus, that's enough to listen, maybe not enough to build a whole new space. Well, some things happened. Some veterans started getting out, and some veterans started moving out this way and going to school. Start the time around 2016, the vets on campus were becoming over like around 75 plus, and they started to rebel, and they were demanding space, demanding a coordinator, demanding somebody to process their benefits, demanding all of these folks. So of course the school listened, because there was a lot of things in the state being pushed down to public universities and community colleges, like the veteran success criteria that you need to meet. So they decided to meet the minimal at that time because of the headcount. So they hired a certifying official to process all benefits first. So they had a little corner closet for a center and a certifying official to process benefits. That was huge at the time. And that person left. She sort of found a better gig somewhere else and sort of left. The campus was faced with nothing to support structure up. So they had to do something because, again, the veterans said, we need something. The campus hired a phenomenal school certifying official, gave him his own office up in financial aid, let him do his own financial aid and benefits information for veterans strictly. So he was the groups. He was set, and he was amazing. He was the start of this great program. The veteran population was growing. They hired me, and I came in July of 2017, started changing things up and creating programming and doing all the things that veterans needed, doing what I knew how to do, and as fast as I could do it. We opened the Veterans Resource Center in November. Actually, we opened in October of 2017. I had been there just a few months, a grand opening in November of 2017. And since then, we've been growing and fighting and growing and fighting. We now have almost 300 veterans since 2017. And right before coronavirus happened, the Veterans Resource Center was scheduled to move into the new Veterans Resource Center in the center of campus. We would already be there by now had we been on campus. So it's waiting for us. We still have to do the moving and the everything because we didn't have a chance to get that. But as of right now, when we move back on campus, our students will be happy to know that we are still getting our new Veterans Resource Center. And until that happens, we just have to stay robust online and make sure that folks know that everything is still happening. It's just a matter of time before there's a place to do it. Right now, it is my understanding that the campus is moving into phases. So they have a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 3. So of course we're in phase 1 right now. Everybody's quarantining. We're not on campus. Classes are done remotely, and and that's to be expected. So come fall, they were hoping that maybe something would be lifted. They could do some type of a hybrid situation. Looks like that's not happening. So, likely fall will be exactly as it's been for spring and summer, online, and we'll move into, say, phase 2 at some time after the holiday break.
I didn't realize Cheryl is from one era of the service, I'm from another, and you're from another. We have 3 different time periods of veterans here.
That's great.
But what came strikingly interesting to me is we've all had the same dilemmas. Nothing's changed, only the uniform. But it's interesting, even with social media and stuff, nobody's making any resolutions or solutions. You know what I mean?
Oh, I have an update.
Oh, good. Tell us.
So right now, they're trying to make it so that the chain of, if there was an MST case, then the chain of command, who was likely the perpetrator somewhere within the chain of command, so it's been proven it's likely from that group of folks, it is the chain of command that also plays the judge and jury, right? So it still remains a good old boys club. So what's happening now is a bunch of people are rising up and saying, okay, it's time to reevaluate the military laws. Why not put a law into effect that says somebody else from the Navy, not associated with that chain of command, needs to be the one to play judge and jury? Because both sides need to be accounted fairly and effectively, and it's not happening at all, 0%. And I think that everybody knows it, male and female. And I think they use that to their advantage to get away with it. And I think it's intentional. This is something that like people across the nation is working on. This isn't just me or UC or anybody. It's a nationwide, it's you hop on board if you think this is right kind of thing. There's a petition going around. I'm hoping people will just come out of the woodwork because, you know, if you have a story, it's not required that you reveal it. You just simply have to take a personal initiative to sign the petition and be active should you choose to, right? That's all it's about. It's sort of like a private participation because it's a sensitive subject. I've gotten together with some other ladies that I know, and we are using our connections from our positions to try to make it move forward in the state of California, specifically our districts, and hoping that if we can get our state on board, then we can just add it on to what DC's doing. We can just say, hey, California's on board, but it takes a lot to get a state on board, right? As many people as we can get to sign a petition, male or female, you know, it doesn't have to do with any one person in the United States. It has to do with humankind in the United States.
Because, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know, and I was in the Army from 1968 to 71. And during that time, you couldn't get married, number one. Number two, you just certainly couldn't have children while you were
right. Mm-hmm.
So just to see that change, but it took 40 some odd years for the military to figure out they were losing some of the best and brightest because they were going out on medical or, you know, getting married and just leaving the military altogether. So it's interesting to see that change. It's my opinion. It will take generations for true equality.
What are some words of wisdom and advice you give to the veterans?
I can tell you what I see. We get a lot of combat vets, males and females alike now, coming around, getting out, contacting me. What do I do next? I get out in 1 month. And I tell them straight up, just let go of the reins a little bit, just a tiny bit. Make one thing this month what you practice, you know, getting help on or letting go of a little bit, something doable, right? Something that needs to be done that maybe you need help with. So just if it's, you need help filing a disability claim because they told you that's what you need to do, make that your one thing that you get help on right now. Rely on that person who's an expert to do it and don't stress on it. And then when that's complete, move on to the next thing that you can slightly loosen the reins on so that it's a slow transition, but it's happening, because I find that a lot of vets hang on. Those reins are held so tightly, and next thing they know, they've been out 5 years and they're right where they were before. There's no growth. And it shouldn't be that way. When you get out, you should grow. Just the same as you grew while you were in, you need to grow. Like the military is one segment of life. So move on to the next segment, you know.
What have you seen that's been the most challenging in your position?
So as you are probably aware, most veterans are kind of a face-to-face. I like to see people. I like to be in the Veterans Resource Center and come out of my office and just socialize and hang out. It is all about face-to-face. There is not any of that happening right now unless I reach out and request somebody to meet me on Zoom. So I've been trying to contact as many students as I can, just saying, you know, like I send out a, you know, a weekly email to them and let them know that I'm here. So I try to reach out to them and let them know face-to-face can still happen. It's just going to be a little more effort, but I am here, right? So Zoom meetings, tons of emails. Every now and then there'll be a phone call or a text, Facebook messaging. Any way that I can get through to my students is how I want it. Anyway, whatever is necessary for them to get their questions answered and to move on to the next direction. I do this not just for our current students, but for students that are prospective coming in, that are getting out. They have a year, 6 months, whatever it is. They just got out 3 months ago. Even if they're not planning on transferring for, say, a couple years, you know, knowing somebody in that area to help them get along is where it's at. I go to bases, I go to community colleges, I go anywhere I can to find them and educate them before they set out on this journey. You know, I mean, we go to all the local bases that we can during the year. And, you know, now that that's stopped, I just send out a bunch of flyers and I hope for the best.
And how do you see the response being well taken this way?
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, it's a whole different group of people. So it's
Right.
full of the same ones, but a bunch of other ones that I never had a chance to speak with or get with before. They are coming out of the woodworks. New students now want to talk about what's happening. So it's shifted. There's another group of people who are satisfied with it being online, that are excited, that are motivated. It's what they're accustomed to. It's what they're used to. It's what they like. And they're all about it. But then we have some that aren't. And then I reach out to them and I just let them know resources, and that I'm somebody that if they're having a day, they can talk to me. Like,
Right on.
I'm here for a day, you know? Like, if you're having a day, you better call me. We don't need it to get to 2 days.
I was curious about that because the younger generation coming out, they don't like to talk on the phone. They'd rather do social media. So I was thinking, like, is this a curve to show you a different way to go about with the younger men and women coming out?
Yeah, it is absolutely 100%. I'm getting contacted more and more because now it's easy. Not that it wasn't easy before, but apparently going to our website, clicking on my email address wasn't as easy before as it is now. And I'm thankful because, you know, maybe it'll make a difference in not just UCR's veterans admissions, but college veterans admissions.
Yeah, I think it's like in the military, standard operating procedures. You're putting one together that other schools could use.
Tammy, your jobs and I were very similar, except I wasn't working at a university. I was working at job service. My ultimate goal was to get people in jobs. But aside from getting them in college or getting them in jobs, the idea here is they were in transition from the military, which you do things the military way, and then you come out to the civilian world, and then all of a sudden you have total freedom and you can do things your way. That's kind of sometimes where people get in trouble.
Yeah.
But the goals are the same. And it's how do you transition the military out into the most effective, least harmful, but most productive way. So
Right.
thank you for the work that you do. And I'm really glad I had the career that I had in empowering veterans, because that's basically what you're doing. I want to say thank you, everybody, for being part of BHV TV. I'm so happy I know all of you. And Tammy, do you have anything you'd like to say or that's popped in your mind at the last
No,
you forgot to
thank
say?
you.
Also, all I can say is thank you all very much. And
Be safe, be well.
You too.
Bye.
thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Sure.